welcome to Aviation Careers Podcast. My name is Carl Valeri, and I'll be your host today. In today's episode, we're going to answer your questions. These questions came in either through feedback at aviationcareerspodcast.com or through the comments down below. So if you have any questions, again, feedback at aviationcareerspodcast.com or put it in the comments down below. And let's get started on the first question here. The first question comes from a listener. It says, I downloaded the PDF file to my desktop and now want to download it to my iPad. Where do I find the link to download the scholarships PDF file onto my iPad? Well, this is actually something you can already do. As you know, the scholarships guide, you can go to aviationcareerspodcast.com, click on scholarships, and you can find all the scholarships there. And also, you can get one for free, and we'll talk about that in a second. But what I'm going to do is this. I have a video that's actually from our friends at MacMost, and those folks there are going to tell you how you can actually download a PDF file onto your iPad. I know it's a basic function of the iPad and iOS, but a lot of us don't know how to do that. So go ahead and watch that video and it'll teach you how to download that. If you do purchase the scholarships guide online, you get free updates every month, and that update is a PDF file. There's also some videos associated, but the PDF file is mainly what people look at. And by the way, if you do want to get one for free, the sponsor of this podcast, Stratus Financial, is giving away free scholarships guides by using that coupon code STRATUS. As a sponsor of this podcast, Stratus Financial is there to help you finance your dreams of flying. Maybe you want to simplify the process by taking care of your student loans. Their efficient, hassle-free funding can connect you to a life of your dreams of becoming a professional pilot sooner than you ever thought possible. To find out more, visit stratus.finance. And of course, go to aviationcareerspodcast.com/free. Use a coupon code STRATUS. So again, go ahead and watch that video I have a link to at our friends at MacMost about how you can go out and actually download a PDF file. By the way, you can do a lot of really cool things with PDF files. There's a lot of stuff you can do in that video that I'm not going to talk about here because we're not a Mac show. So anyway, go check that out. Our second question comes in and says, it's actually from our friends out on the West Coast in LA. Comes on from somebody who's a student. Actually, it's somebody who's on the podcast before. And a student asked this: does my score on the written exam matter for employers? Well, there is, I think one of the things that's important is try to, get as high of a score as you can, primarily for the examiners. Like when you're going out to do your exams for each of the ratings, they'll look at that and they'll say, oh, okay, this person really, has their knowledge, and also we don't have to go over quite as much because, especially if you have 100. But as far as the employers are concerned, normally, no. That's very rare that anybody would ask you for the scores on your written exam. They're really concerned about things like check ride failures and that type of thing. So make sure you try as hard as you can to pass each of your check rides. So that's really what they're looking for there. So no, don't worry about the written exam scores. But do try to score as high as you can, again, for your examiners. So hopefully that helped. Moving on to the next question. Number 3, I'm interested in becoming a pilot and found a few aviation programs, including a flight school. I have no flight experience or even stepped foot inside a plane besides riding a helicopter once in 2010. If I don't become an airline pilot when I reach the requirements, then I'm willing to do cargo planes until I get into an airline. Couple interesting things about this question, or actually really a comment from the YouTube channel, is that there's this misconception that cargo is something you do a lot of times before getting to the quote-unquote airlines. Remember this, there's a lot of large cargo operators that operate just like the scheduled airlines. They are 121 airlines. Rules are just a little bit different as far as rest is concerned and that type of thing, but they basically operate the same. The only difference is they're on a different side of the airport and you get picked up by a different van possibly to go into the hotel. But those actual cargo jobs, especially some of them in the larger aircraft, are coveted, and people really try to get hired by them. As a matter of fact, in the past year, we're only looking at about 2% were hired into the cargo airlines. That's how competitive it is. It's a different type of flying. Remember, the type of flying is up to you, what you want to do. But I think maybe what you're alluding to is some of the other cargo type of flying that's out there, some of the smaller plane flying. But that's very similar to passenger flying. For instance, a lot of people go for the regionals and they go for the actual 135 and that type of thing. They do charter, in other words. And I think that might be what you're alluding to as far as cargo is concerned. So to really understand this concept, basically what you're going to do is you're going to go out and try to find a job flying an airplane, whether it's cargo or people. But just remember this, that some of those cargo jobs can be just as competitive as the actual passenger carrying jobs out there. But I understand what you're getting at, and probably a lot of things that you've actually heard from people throughout your career or so far that in looking into this as a career, we're under the impression that cargo is one of those things that people do before they actually get into passenger carrying. I think, too, one of the challenges you have to look at is the actual night flying, which a lot of cargo carriers do. Not all of them, and there are some people I know that work for some of the cargo carriers that really are getting a lot of sleep at night. So just remember, there is a possibility you could be flying for a cargo carrier and not actually be flying at night. There's a few of those jobs out there, too. So good question, good comment. I like that. So let's look on to the next question. Came in from somebody off of YouTube. Says, would a personal bankruptcy about a year closed affect getting hired or a clearance by an airline? I'll try to finish my 1,500 hours before 2025. Good question. There are certain flying jobs out there because of the type of clearance that you need to fly where bankruptcy may affect you. Those are usually government contract jobs, and many times you're out flying in certain theaters of war or any type of conflicts. But in general, overall, no, the bankruptcy will not affect you. The things you want to really concentrate on are those other things in your background, things like that you can control, try to, not get arrested, DUIs, try to do as well as you can on your check rides, try to pass as many check rides as you can, those type of things. But as far as a bankruptcy, no, I wouldn't worry about that at all. Again, unless you're going to go towards, say, a top secret or secret clearance, doing some of these contract jobs, and that has held up some people. But that's pretty rare. Usually, people that are flying in the civilian world don't have to worry about that. So no, I wouldn't worry about that, especially if you're going to be flying in the civilian world. Let's move on to the next question. This was a comment that came in about our non-compete video. Very interesting comment. Says, non-compete clauses. Just signed John Doe. It voids the contract. They never checked the name. Remember, lying and inaccuracies on anything that you sign or any type of information that you give the airline is cause for removal from that airline. So say they do find that you actually did sign John Doe, and maybe it's a later on down the line. Well, that does void your contract, but also would void your employment. And there are lots of people that have been caught lying or possibly making a mistake on their applications, and we do a lot of career coaching with those type of people because a lot of times they'll lose their jobs, and we're trying to either get them a job back or try to navigate the fact that they actually lied on an application, what they can do going forward, and how to craft a message going forward. But no, I would never sign something with someone else's name, especially John Doe, on a contract. And as far as the attorneys in the world out there, as far as it avoiding the contract, I'm not so sure of the law behind that, but as far as from an employment standpoint, that's basically lying to your employer. That's the one thing you don't want to do, especially in the world of aviation, is lie in any of your applications, lie about your hours, lie about your certificates. It's really grounds for removal from that airline. It's one of the few things I see people get fired for and have a tough time getting their jobs back from. So anyway, thanks for the comment. The next comment comes in, again, from our YouTube channel. It says, so I went down to my AME for a first-class medical, and I was told I have amblyopia, and hopefully I'm saying that. For those that don't know about what that means, my eyes don't fuse, and the AME had me take the paperwork to the eye doctor and have them fill it out. I passed everything without glasses, Just couldn't see the 3D bugs. Amy called 2 different people at headquarters and told me he had to defer me. I've been waiting over 60 days now with no letters, nothing. Is it okay to call or ask, or will they see that as a bad thing? Also, the Amy said I might have to take a flight test. That's what they call a SOTA, a statement of demonstrated ability. So he asked, this is the question he asked, is anybody or anyone able to tell me what they are looking for with this flight test? I've looked all over YouTube and have found nothing. Do they have stuff for a private pilot with one eye, or is it the same test? So as far as let's look at this from a career standpoint, and that's what I'm assuming is that what you're looking to is to do this as a career. Number one, we do a lot of work with people that have issues with their medicals and through our career coaching. You can find that at aviationcareerspodcast.com/coaching. We also have a ton of resources, and within those resources, I have some medical examiner consultants that we use. If you look under the aviationcareerspodcast.com/resources and click on some of those aviation medical consultants that are out there, those are the ones we recommend, and they are very helpful. If you have any medical issue in general, before you start, and this is step one, I tell everybody when they think about this as a career, always look at the medical first. If you think you have a medical issue, hire a consultant first and then see if this is going to be an issue. Mostly the first consultation isn't much money. It's worth its weight in gold. But if you are in the situation you're in, that you've already started the process, ask your AME. Well, first of all, let me back up one. Make sure that you also get an AME, that aviation medical examiner, that works with airline pilots and has done these type of things in the past. I would suggest that first. Search for your AME is very important if you have any kind of medical issue at all. Secondly, what I was about to say is that if you need to work with a consultant, first talk to your AME and let them know that you're going to go to this consultant and make sure they don't have a problem with that. Because at some point in your career, you're probably going to have a medical issue, and that AME will be great. Work with that person that has the experience. A lot of these consulting services are people that will work with the FAA. Your medical, and now you're experiencing that, your medical is one of those things that's very precious to keep. It can be very difficult to get back once you lose it. And also, if it's deferred, it could take a really long time. And your specific question about contacting the FAA, I haven't ever had any problem contacting the FAA. You just call the number and you ask questions, and they're usually very friendly. Whether it'll get moved along or not is a different story, and that's why the consultants that work within the FAA in Oklahoma City, those are the ones that really can help you move this along very quickly. This is a little different than many other things that you may have seen in life because there's only one place that you can go to get your medical from the FAA, and they're pretty backed up, and they don't have a very efficient way, I'll put it that way, of getting you the information that you need. One of the things that holds a lot of people up is the medical. If you have any kind of an issue, and that's why it's important to have insurance and have a good backup plan, it could take you years to get your medical back. I know this because I work with a lot of people trying to get their medicals back. So as far as finding stuff on YouTube, you won't find a whole bunch, some generalizations, because every specific condition is different, and you need to kind of work with someone specifically on yours. So having somebody that's an advocate that can help you is really a great idea. aviationcareerspodcast.com/resources has all that information there to help you out, along with a lot of other stuff to get going. Anyway, let's move on to the next question. I hope that helped. This came from somebody who has a great comment. It says, this channel is a must subscribe for me. Did 15 years in the U.S. Navy, got out and used my GI Bill to get through flight school. Flying is literally on my mind 24/7. Did 15 years in a career that I didn't want to do, and now I've been blessed with the opportunity to choose. And man, do I believe I've chosen wisely. I can't thank you enough for this channel. Well, I really appreciate that. I think that's terrific that you did something that maybe you didn't like that much, but it gave you the opportunity to do what you're doing today. And no matter what you do, if you are a career changer, remember, all those experiences can be used moving forward. So don't look at it as wasted time, and especially in your case, using that GI Bill. That is absolutely terrific. Hats off to you, and I do appreciate you for subscribing. And I invite everybody to subscribe to our channel, and also not just in YouTube, but also on iTunes and all the other podcatchers out there, if you're a person that actually listens to this. So absolutely great story. I absolutely love that, and I love people using their benefits to move forward in a career that they love. Okay, let's move on to the next comment. I did clean, by the way, on some of these I had to clean them up to make them eligible to be put on YouTube, because some of these obviously some of the words they use I can't repeat here. So this last one comes in from our YouTube channel. It says, currently 250 hours to train with a flight instructor. My BFR, that's their flight review. Every 2 years you have to do a flight review. The BFR, he's talking about biannual flight review, cost him $1,300. Continues to comment, the pilot shortage is nothing more than a nasty joke meant to blow smoke blow smoke up people's skirts with a few suckers whose parents can still afford this. That's not exactly what he said, obviously. I just wanted to become a CFI and see no path forward. I really do think you have a path forward. Remember, I get it. Right now, airplanes, gas, everything is really expensive, and also flight instructors are expensive because it's hard to find flight instructors. It's hard to find employees in general. As far as when we talk about pilot shortages, when I talk about pilot shortages, I'm looking at the future. And are we going to have a shortage in the future? And yes, we will. And in certain instances, we still have a shortage today of certain qualified pilots. Remember, there are certain regionals that are still hiring street captains. In other words, they can't find captains, or they can't find pilots that qualify to be captains within their own ranks, so they have to go outwards and find people. The one good thing for them right now, of course, is that the majors have slowed their hiring, but also the fact that because of that slowing of hiring, they're getting more experienced people that they can maybe internally fill those positions. They haven't totally caught up, and certain regional are still having trouble with that. But as far as the shortage is concerned, there is a shortage right now of certain qualified pilots. As far as when we talk about the pilot shortage, you're going to see that continue for years out. Because remember that in this field, you have to retire at 65. And in general, in any field, you have to retire because of certain medical issues, right? And as you get older, you just have to retire because you can't do your job anymore. In other fields, you can work till your 80s. I know someone who actually is 100 years old and is still working in their business. In this field, you can't do that. This is something that is really important to understand. Attrition happens for many reasons. And one of the big ones is people are aging, the aging population of pilots. We are still seeing that. And you can actually project somewhat the need for pilots. And a good example is a lot of airlines don't even need to do any type of furloughing because, well, they have leaves of absence and all that I get. But also the fact that they have so many people that are retiring throughout the year, that actually even during this slowdown are actually seeing the ability to even hire people because there's so many retirements. There are some airlines that are very young from an age standpoint in their airline, and they aren't really having a lot of people retire. And you're not going to see a lot of those retirements for a while. So as far as the cost, I'm with you. That's why a lot of people use other means. They use scholarships and other type of things. But as far as say you just wanted to become a CFI and be a part-time instructor, and I think that's really terrific. I would not give up on that, but I do understand that if there wasn't such a supply crunch right now, you'd see the rates come down. Because remember years ago when things were really, really slow, back in the 90s, et cetera, it just really, things were slow. Nobody was making any money. The airlines were actually making you pay for training and to go to work for the airlines. That has really changed. I don't think that trend is going going to change much, because the other cool thing is we really democratized aviation. There's all these low-cost carriers out there. There's all sorts of types of carriers that do many different things. So that's really, really cool. The fact that we have so many new carriers that are out there giving products to people from all different walks of life. And I think that's wonderful. And the more airplanes that are bought and the more people that are fly, that's the more pilots that we need to go fly those airplanes. So anyway, thanks for the comments. Please, feedback at aviationcareerspodcast.com, or put a comment below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate you all, and I love the fact that you're actually out there commenting. I can't get to all the different comments. These are just 8 of them I think I just did here, but I'd really like to hear back from you. But the most important thing, whether you're trying to consider this as a career or you're actually in the midst of the career process, make sure you do me a favor. Don't stop here. After you stop listening or watching this video on YouTube, make sure that you take some type of action right now. And that could be just actually writing down the ideas I have here, going to the website, aviationcareerspodcast.com, and those resources, and looking up the things you need to do to become a pilot, or just meditating on the fact that you may want to do something, or put a plan together, get some coaching, that type of thing. But make sure you take one step today to move forward in your career and in your life. And I know you will get to your goal sooner than you think. We'll talk to you next episode. Safe flying out there.